Billionaire discovered a single mom's heartbreaking sacrifice. His unexpected act truly transformed her life. Emily stood behind the counter at the Maplewood diner, the faint sheen of sweat glistening on her forehead as she flipped burgers and poured coffee with relentless dedication. The overhead fan cranked relentlessly, but it did little to ease the heat of the kitchen or the weariness that draped over her shoulders like a heavy quilt. A loud clatter jolted her, as a little boy dropped his plate of fries, and her heart shattered at the sound of his laugh even amidst chaos. The laughter echoed in contrast to her own internal storm. Could she keep this up? The late nights spent cleaning houses, the long shifts serving breakfast to strangers, and managing 2 kids on her own consumed her every waking hour. She had given up so much, and yet with every sacrifice, she feared she was losing herself. As the clock ticked towards closing, doubt nagged at her. Did her children, Mia and Lucas, understand the true value of that laughter? Would they make sense of the struggles that kept their refrigerator bare and her heart heavy? And in the slivers of her emotional existence, would they grow too strong in the shadows of love to recognize when it was time to lean on someone else? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she wiped down the counter, whispers from customers trickled through her mindful fog. She heard her name, heard phrases like single mom and so brave fall from their lips like a sticky residue. The pity hidden in their tone stung more than the heat from the grill. Each compliment felt heavy with judgment, as if living authentically was not enough. Their gazes dissected her life like a specimen under a microscope, but they couldn't begin to know the depths of her fatigue, physical, emotional, spiritual. Suddenly, an envelope appeared at her doorstep one night weeks later, an anonymous payment clearing her overdue rent and bills. The burden of financial worries fell away momentarily, yet so did something deeper, a sense of control. As she read the letter twice, disbelief morphed into indignation, igniting something fierce within her. Who dared to assume she needed saving? Lifting her chin, she could feel the heat of her blood rushing through her veins, pounding a rhythm of outrage and defiance. This stranger had landed on her doorstep and stripped her of her power. With determination she hadn't felt in years, Emily knew she had to confront whoever had crossed this line. Hands clenched, heart racing, she sought answers, needing to demand respect for her struggles. In that moment, she was prepared to challenge Jack Weston, whoever he was, and understand what compelled him to intervene in her life without her consent. Little did she know, their confrontation would shake the foundation of everything she believed, forcing her to reckon with her own pride and the urgent need for connection beneath the surface. The tension built in her chest, an exceeding weight as she prepared to face the unknown conflict ahead. Emily stormed through the town, her heart pounding in her chest with each determined stride. Every step felt heavy with purpose, each breath an incantation of resolve. She had spent weeks drowning in uncertainty, and now that anonymous intervention ignited a flame within her, a flame eager to find the source of this unwelcome assistance. Was Jack Weston a knight in shining armor or an arrogant bystander seeking to play savior? Inside the narrow confines of her apartment, the flickering lights drowned the reality of her cramped living space. Mia and Lucas were watching television, their laughter a dulcet background to the internal chaos that engulfed Emily. She paused at the doorway, torn between the protective mother she knew she was and this fierce new version of herself demanding acknowledgement. That juxtaposition set off an internal war. Motherhood had always been her shield against the world's cruel perceptions. Could she afford to lay that down now? A knock on the door shattered her reverie. The sound of it was like a gunshot in her silent sanctuary, sending an echo through her thoughts. Could this be Jack? Could he possibly have the audacity to come to her, the same man who had thrown financial help her way under the cover of night? The breath quickened in her lungs. Could she confront him? Or would she retreat back into the safety of the expectations others held? As she opened the door, her heart lurched at the sight of him. Jack stood there, tall and imposing, dressed in sharp lines of a tailored suit that seemed to belong to another universe compared to her worn-out apron. The air was thick with unspoken challenges. His deep-set eyes, surprisingly vulnerable, searched hers for answers she barely understood herself. "Emily," he started, hesitation lacing his voice, "I know you didn't ask for help, and then why did you do it?" The words burst forth from her before she could rein them in. "Who do you think you are, stepping into my life without my consent?" He glanced away, a flicker of guilt crossing his features. "I didn't want to see you struggle. There's more at stake here than you realize. More at stake for you, perhaps." Her voice lashed out, each word steeped in the resentment she had bottled for too long. "You don't know a thing about struggling. You live in a world where you can throw money at problems and pretend it's a solution." "True," he admitted, leaning against the doorframe. "But I grew up in a household not too different from yours. You don't know my struggles either, Emily. You've felt the weight of your challenges, I've felt the weight of mine. The difference is that we handle them differently." His honesty staggered her. For the first time, she felt that they stood on equal ground, two human hearts battling their own burdens. "What do you really want from me, Jack?" she pressed, the intensity of her gaze piercing him. I need you to hear me out. There are possibilities I see in you that you might not recognize yet. Let me show you." He leaned in closer. Doubt danced painfully with curiosity as he spoke. What possibilities? What future was he hinting at if she allowed him that small crack in her defenses? She could hardly process the weight of his words, entrenched in her instinct to protect her fragile world. Yet behind that instinct lurked something raw, something that craved validation and change. "It's not just about money," he continued with a softness that disarmed her. "It's about support, a partnership maybe if you're willing." The pulse of that idea throbbed against her own internal chaos. Could this be the lifeline she had unknowingly been hoping for, or was he just another mirage? Answering that question could redefine her future. "Next time, come prepared to actually talk," she said, closing the door to their nascent connection. She needed to think, to calculate her next moves. As the facade of control slipped away, so did her certainty. The urgency to navigate this unexpected relationship loomed heavily. Who was Jack Weston truly? What doors awaited if she opened her heart even slightly to the vulnerability of partnership? The thirst for answers fueled her determination. It was time for confrontation, a confrontation that would make her question not only his intentions but her own. What if the real battle wasn't with Jack but within herself, revealing the depths of desire she had buried for too long? The next morning dawned with an effortful brightness that seemed out of place in Emily's turmoil. Sunlight streamed through her small kitchen window, illuminating the clutter of yesterday's dishes and the remnants of her internal battle with Jack. Despite the clarity of day, fog still clouded her mind, a blend of fear and the tentative thrill of potential. As she poured herself a cup of coffee, each sip was a jaunt through the mess of questions that pressed on her heart. What did Jack Weston really want? Was he genuinely interested in her, or merely fascinated by the idea of saving her? She had underestimated the power of his gaze, it had rattled her in a way that lingered long after he left. The fragile balance of her life was already precarious, and opening up to him felt like walking a tightrope. Mia and Lucas traipsed into the kitchen, their chatter breaking through the haze. Their laughter was an anchor to reality. She had to focus on them, but the allure of her personal growth tugged insistently. "Mama, can we get pancakes today?" Mia pleaded, her blue eyes wide with eagerness. "Sure, sweetheart," Emily replied automatically, but a deeper intuition whispered that today was not just about pancakes. She agreed to make breakfast, but her mind flitted back to the notion of possibilities. What if she allowed herself to dream a little wider, to reach beyond the edges of her current situation? Could she balance her responsibilities as a single mother while also daring to explore something new with Jack? As the familiar sizzle of batter against the griddle filled the air, Emily's thoughts drifted to her work situation. The cleaning business had been a constant, but now it felt more like a safety net than a source of fulfillment. What if she felt as empowered in her professional life as she did grappling with her emotions for Jack? She started to envision a different path, one that would free her from the constraints of merely surviving. Ideas bloomed like dandelions in her head. Could she transform her business into something more substantial? Expand her services, perhaps even tap into the market of residential organization or design? She had a knack for creating order out of chaos, after all. As she flipped a pancake, she caught her reflection in the window. Her expression mirrored the uncertainty she felt inside, but beneath it was a glimmer of defiance. "Mommy." Lucas's voice pulled her from her reverie. "Look at my tower." She turned just in time to see her son standing proudly beside a wobbly stack of colorful blocks. "Wow! That's impressive, buddy," she exclaimed. In that moment, something clicked. If Lucas could build a tower, maybe she could construct her own life with the same creativity and determination. A buzz from her phone pulled her back to reality. The message was from Jack. "Can we talk later? I think I've found something that might interest you." Cautiously, her fingers hovered over the screen. What did he mean? Her breath quickened at the prospect of their next encounter, a chance to lay out all the unfiltered thoughts that churned within her. Still, she hesitated, questioning whether to dive into this enigmatic partnership or hold fast to her solitary existence. In the kitchen, the hum of her children's laughter became louder, grounding her even as her heart raced. She resolved to respond, but before she could type a reply, another urgent thought gripped her. Could a partnership with Jack lead to a resurgence of her dreams, or was she on the brink of jeopardizing the stability she fought so hard to create? The stakes were high, the risk palpable. She needed to confront not just Jack, but her own growing ambitions. The moment of truth loomed closer, and the unanswered questions filled her with both excitement and dread. As she finally hit send and agreed to meet Jack later, the tension of her decision coiled within her, a complicated knot of hope and anxiety. The crux of her identity lay on a precipice. Could she embrace this new chapter, or would her hesitations trip her up? What she had to discuss with Jack was more than just her feelings. It was about claiming ownership over her life and redefining her narrative, a narrative that Jack might either support or threaten. With determination Alice poised for action, the time had come to discover whether the true adventure awaited her within herself or in the partnership she had vehemently resisted. As the day unfolded, she braced for the confrontation that would ultimately define not only her future with Jack but also her self-worth. But as she turned away from the griddle, something within her whispered, was she truly ready for this confrontation? Emily found herself standing at the edge of a precipice, her emotions swelling around her like high tide. She had spent the morning steeped in the warmth of family life, a cocoon woven from laughter and the smell of pancakes, yet the thought of her impending meeting with Jack loomed like a storm cloud over her sunny day. The carefully constructed walls she had built around her heart felt simultaneously sturdy and fragile, ready to either shield her or come crashing down. Once the last pancake was served, she hurried through the dishes, her hands moving automatically while her thoughts swirled unbidden. With every splash of water, she was reminded that she was the architect of her own life. She could choose the foundation, whether concrete and steady or light and airy enough to soar. But today, prospect of change pressed heavily on her like the thick summer air just before a violent storm. Mia and Lucas played and giggled in the other room, oblivious to the maelstrom raging within their mother's heart. Would she even be able to focus on their joy tonight? Emily cast a glance at her children, their innocence reminding her of the weight of responsibility she bore as a mother. The decision she was about to make would affect them too, a ripple she could not ignore. Just as she wiped her hands on a dish rag, her phone chimed again, and her heart raced. Jack's message was succinct but tantalizing: "Let us meet at the Greenhouse Cafe. 3 p.m. It felt so casual yet held enormous significance. The cafe was a local favorite, filled with bustling energy, and represented a stark contrast to the solitary pace she had become accustomed to in recent years. This meeting could unleash a pivot not just in her emotional landscape but also professionally. The potential for collaboration hung tantalizingly in the air. Yet, there was fear too, slathered like sticky syrup over her gut, the fear of opening herself up again, not just to Jack but to what he represented: possibility, growth, intimacy. Time wound down to a standstill in the afternoon. Emily hurriedly dressed, sliding into a clean pair of jeans and a soft sweater that felt more like armor against the uncertainty ahead. As she glanced in the mirror, she noticed the flicker of determination in her eyes, the same look she'd seen in Lucas's when he constructed his tower that morning. It was time to construct her own life, brick by brick, even if some of those bricks felt shaky. By the time she arrived at the cafe, the sun had shifted slightly, casting ribbons of golden light across the tables. Jack was already there, leaning against the bar, his features highlighted in a way that made him look almost heroic. An inexplicable pull drew her closer, tinged with nervous anticipation. The smile he offered was warm but layered with unspoken things. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice a low rumble that stirred strange feelings within her. "I think you'll find what we're discussing today is different." She raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Different how?" "Let's just say it's an opportunity you want to miss." Emily felt a rush of adrenaline coupled with dread. Her guard was still up, protecting against past disappointments and the trembling fear of inadequacy. What if she failed? What if this was just another dead end? The past lingered like a ghost at the edges of her consciousness. As she took her seat across from Jack, her resolve solidified. This meeting was a chance for more than just a professional collaboration. It was an opportunity to reclaim the narrative of her life, one where she was not merely surviving, but actively forging a path forward. "All right, I'm listening," she said, a tone of challenge lacing her words. Jack leaned in slightly, the air between them charged. "I believe you can turn your cleaning business into something much more starting today." Her heart raced at the potent words. This was the moment she had been waiting for, one that could catapult her into an entirely new orbit of existence. The doubt and fear receded slightly as anticipation surged. But before she could squeeze out any more details, Jack paused, the light in his eyes dimming momentarily. "But it will require you to fully commit. This isn't just a small change." The stakes had escalated. Emily's gut clenched tighter at the thought of the leap she might have to take. What if she wasn't ready? What if she faltered and tangled the lives of the ones she loved in the process? Taking a deep breath, she prepared to weigh the potential against the peril. What if this was more than a partnership? What if it meant stepping into the unknown, and discovering, for the first time, the woman she truly wanted to become? "Okay, tell me everything," she urged, feeling a rush of conviction flood her veins, the promise of transformation now closer than ever. But as Jack began explaining, she caught a flicker of something in his expression, determination mingled with doubt. What could that mean for their partnership? And what would it demand from her in return? Every instinct urged her to tread carefully. The meeting was just the beginning. What lurked beneath the surface could either be a thrilling gateway to her dreams or a sinkhole dragging her further into uncertainty. As the conversation unfolded, Emily realized she stood at a crossroads, one that could irrevocably change the course of her life. Was she truly ready to leap into the untamed waters of chance? Emily leaned forward, capturing every word Jack imparted like a thirsty traveler gulping water from a well. He painted a picture of exponential growth, support, and innovation that had her head spinning. "You could oversee multiple contracts," he said, excitement igniting his features. "Manage a team, and the best part? You'd build a brand around your name, something that reflects your values and personal touch." Each phrase he uttered struck a chord within her. This vision was tantalizing, but along with it came a waterfall of insecurities. Could she even manage a team? Juggling her children and a business sounded like an impossibly tall order. But what about my existing commitments? I can't abandon the routine we have now. Jack's expression softened. I understand the importance of balance, trust me. This isn't just about business, it's about creating a life that supports you and your children. You can set the pace. We'll build this together. She wanted to believe him, her heart yearned for the possibility of something greater. Yet doubt clung tenaciously to her thoughts. What if I mess everything up? What if my past failure in partnerships haunts me? She bit her lip, hesitation creeping back in. Jack's reply was immediate. Every entrepreneur has faced setbacks. The difference is they learn and grow from them. I believe in your capability. You have a gift, Emily, and it's time to unlock it. His unwavering faith was a balm, soothing the raw nerves churning within her. A surge of competitive spirit coursed through her veins. This was not merely about survival, this was a challenge to step into her potential. Past failures would not define her future, the thoughts lingered whispering doubts, but they felt less ominous now. Jack's enthusiasm was infectious, igniting a flicker of hope. Let's start with the basics. What do you love about your business? He prompted, a spark in his eye. In that instant, Emily found clarity. I love creating spaces that feel like home for people. Making that difference, no matter how small, gives me purpose. Her voice grew steadier as she spoke, the memories of grateful clients brought a small smile to her lips. Exactly. You're already doing it, Emily. Imagine extending that experience to even more families, redefining what home means across the community, he added. As she absorbed his vision, a wave of determination washed over her. She could see a semblance of the life she wanted, a life where her business did not just fill a role but became an integral extension of her identity, shaping the legacy she wanted for her children. But then, the looming specter of what-ifs returned. Would expanding her business demand more time than she could afford? Would her children suffer as she threw herself into this entrepreneurial adventure? Snapshots of their laughing faces jolted her, manifesting her internal struggle. Balancing ambition with motherhood felt like walking a tightrope. Jack, I can't ignore my kids. What if they need me? The weight of her responsibilities tugged at her conscience as she searched for an anchor. They will need you, but they will also need to see you thrive, he countered gently. You can show them what hard work looks like, inspire them. It's about creating a well-rounded life, and you can involve them in your journey too. They can learn through this. His optimism was like a light in the darkness, flickering hope amidst the uncertainty. She envisioned a future where Mia and Lucas saw their mother not just as a caretaker, but as a role model pursuing her passions without fear. Okay, Emily exhaled, the breath she didn't realize she was holding escaping in a rush. Let's say I'm in. What are the first steps? Jack's eyes lit up, satisfaction etched across his face. He began outlining a plan, but as the intricacies of the pitch unfolded, a shadow crossed his features again. Emily sensed a hint of vulnerability beneath his assured facade. Was he sacrificing something too? Was there more to his motivation that he was yet to reveal? As they discussed timelines and budgets, she scrutinized the man across the table. She wanted this partnership, but it felt like a delicate dance not only of business but of shared emotional landscapes as well. Trust and transparency loomed larger than the drafting board before them. Jack, she ventured softly, glancing down at her notebook filled with scribbles, before I fully commit, I'd like to know what's driving you to take this leap with me. There it was, the question that could propel them beyond business, a doorway opening to deeper understanding. And just like that, the stakes heightened, their personal truths intertwining with the cracks of their lives. Would they find a way to harness their individual pains into a shared resolve, or were they standing on the precipice of a distraction from the unresolved? As Jack looked deep into her eyes, the unspoken weight of his answer hung in the air, pregnant with potential. Would she discover more than mere professional alignment? Or was this partnership destined to navigate the turbulent waters of each other's past? Emily's heart raced as she awaited Jack's response, the tension in the room thick with anticipation. This moment felt pivotal, not just for their potential partnership, but for her own awakening. She saw the flicker of conflict in his gaze, a reflection of her own inner turmoil. Was there a depth to Jack she hadn't yet comprehended? "I've taken risks in my career because I believe in the power of change," he finally said, his voice steady but tinged with an openness that momentarily stripped away the business facade. "When I see someone with potential, I want to nurture it. I've made sacrifices too, lost time with my family, navigated betrayal in partnerships, watched dreams slip through my fingers because of trust misplaced." As he spoke, Emily felt her own defenses begin to crumble, drawn into his vulnerability. Jack was not simply an ambitious businessman, he was layered, carrying wounds that echoed her own. "And you think I can be that change?" she asked, voice tinged with disbelief. "I know you can," he responded without hesitation, sincerity wrapping around his words like a warm blanket. "But I can't promise roses without thorns. This will be tough. You'll face doubts, late nights, and pressure you've never imagined. You've got to ask yourself, are you ready to sharpen your resilience?" His earnestness struck a chord, amplifying her internal conflict. What did it mean to be resilient? Could she truly accept the challenges without succumbing to fear? The thought of exploring this uncharted territory sent a surge of adrenaline coursing through her. But could this be the moment she'd finally reclaim the narrative of her life? "Resilience isn't just about pushing through," she countered, contemplating. "It's about knowing when to pull back, to look after oneself and the ones you love. I can't lose sight of what matters most, my kids." "Of course. That's why you must define your boundaries now," he absorbed, nodding thoughtfully. "This will require meticulous planning. We'll structure your business model around your life." His proposition opened a door she hadn't known existed. "I can involve them? Teach Mia and Lucas about entrepreneurship while ensuring their needs are met?" Hope flickered anew. "Absolutely," Jack affirmed, leaning forward as if they were allies plotting a course through uncertainty. "Your children will witness not just a business model, but a life lived intentionally. They'll learn the value of passion and hard work through you." As they spoke, Emily felt a swell of realization, her fears were beginning to morph into a vision of empowerment. Each passing moment unfolded layers of what could be, igniting a fire within her, a determination that had long been dormant. "Let's say I'm willing to dive into this," she said thoughtfully, contemplating the next steps. "What's a realistic timeline? When can I start? I want to minimize disruption for my kids while laying a solid foundation for this venture." Jack jotted down notes, a strange energy buzzing between them, as if their connection was solidifying into something tangible. "We'll start with market research, map out what you want to achieve and how your business will reflect your values. You'll take ownership, this will be yours and yours alone." His emphasis on ownership wasn't just a business term, it resonated with her, touching the very core of her identity. "Okay, let's do it," she decided, her tone firm, almost triumphant. "I'm ready to break this cycle. But first, can we address our personal narratives? This partnership should build a solid foundation, beyond profit and contracts." Jack paused, his expression shifting from excitement to understanding. They were at a crossroads where both professional ambition and personal struggles intertwined. Would revealing their true selves strengthen their partnership or open old wounds they weren't prepared to face? "Let's ensure we're on the same page," he said softly, though the tension remained, unresolved and palpable. It was an invitation, one she recognized for what it was, a pivotal moment towards mutual trust. Emily felt the weight of his unspoken challenges brush against her heart, and in that moment, an opening blossomed within her. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to leap into unknown depths. Could they navigate both ambition and vulnerability without shattering their fragile intentions? Doubt echoed softly, teasing at the fringes of her conviction. As she prepared for their next conversation, she felt a subtle warning. Sometimes, the deepest truths reveal secrets that can either unite or divide. And just as she prepared to delve deeper into Jack's past and explore her own, a sudden image flashed in her mind: Mia's face, joyful and carefree, quickly transformed into one marred with uncertainty. Would her children be proud of the mother she was becoming, or would they turn away in confusion or disappointment? The stakes had elevated. Emily's journey was no longer just about business, it was about identity, legacy, and the risk of choosing a path that demanded everything. Would she possess the strength to navigate this labyrinth, or would she discover the weight of sacrifice too great to bear? The days that followed were a blur of activity, filled with the chaotic energy of balancing her burgeoning ambition and the ever-present demands of motherhood. Emily was hyper-aware of every minute, plotting in her mind how to shape her personal and professional worlds into something harmony-filled. Each morning brought a new list of tasks, calls to potential partners, brainstorming sessions with Jack over coffee, and balancing story time with her children in the evenings. The rhythm was exhausting but invigorating. Sitting at her dining room table, cluttered with papers and colorful markers, she felt herself teetering on a tightrope. Lucas and Mia were sprawled on the floor, creating their own makeshift business plan in crayon as she scribbled notes in her notepad. It was a delight to witness their creativity flourish, especially as their laughter echoed through the house, intertwining with her ambitions. But with each tick of the clock, her resolve began to quaver. What if they saw her failure? What if they experienced the fragility of their family anew? The mere thought clawed at her insides, causing a cascade of self-doubt. Was she chasing a dream worth the potential pain? Emily remembered Jack's words about resilience, but also recalled the sacrifices he recounted. The idea of losing precious moments with her children pushed against her budding courage. Would she be a better mother, showing them the importance of pursuing passion, or a selfish one, chasing her ambition at the expense of family time? As she wrestled with these doubts, a sudden thought struck Emily. She could leverage the pressure she felt. Perhaps it wouldn't be such a bad thing to involve her children more explicitly in this new entrepreneurial venture. Instead of simply learning by observation, they could be active participants. With renewed determination, she set herself to the task. "Okay, team," she proclaimed, her voice shifting from uncertainty to what she hoped sounded like authority. "How about we create a weekend project? You both are going to help me with my business." Their eyes lit up, Mia jumping up. "Really? We can help?" "Yes. It'll be our family project," Emily chimed back, her heart swelling with hope. She outlined her vision: not just a business but a legacy built around their family's values. It didn't need to feel like a sacrifice, perhaps it could be an adventure. Jack's perspective on boundaries emerged again in her thoughts. Involving her children meant establishing clear boundaries between work and family life, ensuring they participated only when it suited their rhythms. The next day, Emily arrived at the office early, the adrenaline from her newfound sense of purpose coursing through her veins. She was greeted by the sight of Jack peering deep into a stack of reports. His expression was serious, yet when he caught her eye, a smile broke through, illuminating the lingering shadows of concern etched across his brow. "Ready to brainstorm?" he asked, gesturing to the scattered papers sprawled across his desk. "I am. But I want to flip the script a bit," she replied, leaning in. "How about we incorporate my kids into our initial planning rather than keeping it separate?" Jack arched an eyebrow, a mixture of intrigue and skepticism dancing across his features. "That's an interesting angle. Are you sure it won't blur the lines too much? You know how intense this can get." Emily straightened herself, relishing in this pivotal moment. Perhaps this was her chance to recalibrate the journey she was undertaking, to prove that passion could coexist with family. They need to see their mother pursuing something worthwhile. They could help define the values that drive the business. His thoughtful silence offered encouragement. If they can provide insights, find solutions from a child's perspective, it could be an unexpected asset. You might just have struck gold. Feeling emboldened, Emily began to visualize how the business could not only thrive but flourish as an extension of her family's identity. But just before she could elaborate on her thoughts, a familiar unease returned, whispering doubts that she had learned to partially tame. The real question loomed large: was this the right decision? The stakes were high, and she felt that familiar edge of vulnerability creeping in. What if involving them put an undue strain on her children? Would their contributions inspire or burden them? As she pondered these possibilities, her phone buzzed insistently on the desk, pulling her back to reality with an urgency she couldn't ignore. It was a message from Mia's school. Her heart sank as she clicked it open. An unexpected incident had occurred. Emily's breath hitched as she read the text. The moment had arrived where she would have to confront her fears in a way she never imagined. The time had come to face not only her business ambitions but the intricate web of family life she was desperately trying to reconstruct. What awaited her on this urgent path, a triumph or an unraveling? Emily's heart raced as she read the message on her phone. Mia had been in an accident on the playground, a scraped knee, perhaps, but the words cast a shadow over the spark of ambition she had ignited earlier. For a brief moment, clarity pierced through the haze of her thoughts. Her children, their well-being, trumped any business goal. She gathered her things, urgency propelling her toward the school. The drive felt interminable, her mind volleying between practicality and the storm of emotions coiling within her. What if she could have been there? Her resolve to combine her goals with motherhood felt suddenly naive, like trying to pour water into a bucket with a gaping hole. She had promised them this adventure, this role in her new life, yet here was an undeniable truth: their comfort and safety must come first. Arriving at the school, she rushed to the nurse's office, her pulse quickening with each step. Pushing the door open, she found Mia sitting on a chair, a bandage on her knee, tears spilling down her cheeks. The sight sent a jolt of guilt through Emily's core, the unresolved conflict between her passions raging anew. "Mama!" Mia exclaimed, her arms stretching out wide. Emily rushed forward, enveloping her daughter in a tight embrace, the world outside fading into insignificance. Breathing in the familiar scent of her hair, she felt the chains of anxiety that had bound her soul ease slightly. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm so sorry you're hurt," Emily whispered, as she brushed away the tears from Mia's cheeks with gentle fingertips. In that moment, holding her daughter tightly, a realization crystallized: she could not pursue her dreams on their behalf. They had to be woven together, but first, she needed to truly understand their needs and boundaries. Once they were safely home, Emily sat Mia and Lucas down. "I want to know how you both feel about doing this project together. It's important to me, but I don't want it to be something that makes you feel stressed or pressured." Lucas shrugged, chewing thoughtfully on his lip. "It's fun to help. But I don't want to miss our playtime." Mia nodded in agreement, her voice wavering. "Yeah, I didn't like being hurt and waiting all alone." Their words struck a chord deep within Emily's heart. She realized that the well-being of her children had to be front and center in her plans. Balancing their involvement with healthy boundaries was the key. She could not drag them into her ambitions without regard for their needs. With this perspective shift, Emily felt as if weights were lifting from her shoulders. She began sketching ideas, weaving her children's input into the fabric of her entrepreneurial journey. Perhaps this project could turn into something meaningful, a family-building exercise rather than an overwhelming burden. As the weeks passed, the trio charted their path together. Mia and Lucas contributed ideas that were refreshingly unpredictable: a kids' corner for the website, a playful brand name that connected with fun. Emily listened and observed with growing admiration. Yet, shadows of worry and self-doubt still cloaked her spirit, making her second-guess decisions. Was she equipping them with life lessons or inadvertently placing expectations upon small shoulders? In a moment of vulnerability, she confided in Jack during one of their brainstorming sessions. "I thought I could mold this business into an extension of our values, but I'm terrified I'm imposing my dreams onto them." What if they resent me later for this? Jack's brow furrowed, assessing her concern. Creating opportunities for them to express themselves is valuable, but it's equally important to leave space for them to simply be kids. Remember, it's also about learning balance. Your journey is intertwined, but their freedom must be safeguarded. His insights rang true, reinforcing the protective instinct as a mother fighting for her dreams. Empowering her children was one thing, projecting her aspirations into their lives was another. Emily decided to take a step back from the project and transition to fostering creativity without pressure. The family's weekend project transformed into a rhythm of shared laughter and exploration, although Emily's heart still flickered with a desire to fulfill her ambitions. The line between personal pursuit and familial duty remained fraught with tension, but she sensed a shift within her, embracing the journey rather than fixating solely on the destination. However, as the days wore on, the looming presence of unfulfilled potential gnawed at her spirit. What would be the next step? Would her newfound strategy suffice to bridge the gap between ambition and motherhood? While hopes flourished, so did doubts, each rising tide threatening to drown her efforts before they could truly flourish. In quiet moments, she would catch herself staring out of the window, contemplating a choice that hovered over her like a shadow. The balance of ambition and maternal duty was becoming increasingly fragile. The next challenge lay ahead, waiting to test her in ways she had not yet considered. Would she take a leap of faith that might change everything? In the days that followed, Emily found herself standing at a crossroads, the intersection of ambition and motherhood increasingly fraught with tension. She whipped through lists of potential business ideas while strategically realizing they needed to be simplified, stripped down to their essence. The kids' laughter echoed in the background, a siren's call reminding her of the joy they had shared while navigating these muddy waters, the uncomplicated exuberance of imagination swirling in her kitchen. On one hand, there was the allure of a flourishing business that waited for her to seize it, a tangible reward for her dreams. On the other, the simple, unadulterated happiness of her children playing freely tugged at her heart, leaving her torn. The dichotomy felt as if it were a taut rope pulled between two opposing forces, with her heart balanced delicately upon it. Sinking into her couch, she grabbed her laptop and found herself looking at feedback from their earlier brainstorming session. It had been an enlightening experience watching Mia and Lucas find their rhythm, witnessing their ideas materialize in a way that made them proud. Yet, a hollowness lingered. They were just fragments of something much larger. They didn't spark the adrenaline she craved, nor did they fill the void that came from prioritizing others over herself. "I need something more," she murmured, biting her lip as she navigated away from the notes. But more of what? Would she suffocate under the pressure she so acutely felt building within her longings? Beneath her seemingly calm surface, a storm brewed. She envisioned unveiling a business model rooted in her children's input, constructing a dazzling dream layer by layer, yet she didn't know if this was the right path. Was it feasible to elevate her aspiration without hindering their growth? Every time she contemplated launching her project, a wave of guilt surged, a reminder of the moments spent yearning for something beyond her current existence. The next day, during their usual Saturday lunch, Emily took a deep breath, her hand trembling around the edge of her glass. "I've been thinking about our project. I want us to keep exploring ideas together, but what if I think of something on my own? Would that be okay?" Mia and Lucas exchanged glances, curiosity sparking in their eyes. "Yeah. But why would you want to do it alone?" Lucas questioned, his innocent brows knitting together. "Because sometimes, I could play around with a bigger picture, too. One that could help us all in the long run." "But what if we don't like it?" Mia's voice was small, vulnerability etched into every syllable. "I'll listen. And if you both don't like it, then it's out. No question." The commitment left her lips before she could reconsider. This was an opportunity to not only stretch her wings but perhaps foster independence within her children as well. As they resumed eating, a sense of albeit fragile expectation knitted itself into the air. The balance they sought had shifted yet again, presenting a complexity neither Emily nor her kids had yet navigated. Keeping communication open was her priority, yet doubt still loomed heavy. If she walked this solo path, could she attain her dreams without risking their trust? That night, as stars twinkled above, her restlessness ignited a fire of creativity inside her. Fueled by a blend of hope and uncertainty, she opened her laptop and began working on a new concept, one that embraced the essence of what she cherished most. The outline poured forth, bright and fresh, interrupting the darkness of self-doubt. But in the midst of her fervor, lingering concerns accompanied her passionate outpouring. Was this ambitious leap truly the best choice for her family, or was she nudging them toward a future that felt foreign and filled with pressure? As banners of potential unfurled before her, she realized she stood on a precipice. The freedom she sought was intricately tied to the joys and responsibilities of motherhood, entwined in a complex tapestry of choices. Could she unravel what felt inevitable, without stepping on fragile threads of their happiness? With a flutter of anxious exhilaration, she typed the final word, confident in her decision yet haunted by uncertainty. The momentary relief dissolved into a lingering question, echoing in the empty silence around her. Was she prepared to confront the turbulence of that choice? The dawn would bring clarity, but for now, she faced unyielding ambiguity hanging ominously in the air. The moment to confront the tangled web she wove was upon her, and she couldn't ignore the looming reality that awaited everything was about to change again. With dawn's early light creeping through the kitchen window, Emily found herself at an extraordinary cusp of change. The intimidating shadows of the previous weeks faded as a renewed sense of purpose liberated her thoughts. She cleared past clutter from the table, energized by the vision she had crafted the night before, a business model not just focused on profit but infused with her children's creativity and her personal touch. As she spread the papers across the table, she felt a shift. The scattered ideas began to align into something tangible. Mia and Lucas woke, sleep still clinging to their voices, but when Emily explained the project to them, their eyes sparkled with possibility. "We're building a business together, right? Like a superhero team?" Lucas's excitement diffused any lingering doubt. "Exactly." Emily beamed, her heart swelling with elation. "You two are my secret weapons." Their collaboration took shape seamlessly, like treasured threads woven into a colorful tapestry. Over the next few weeks, they transformed their brainstorming sessions into a ritual, a blend of work and play that yielded innovative ideas. Emily began to feel genuine confidence as a businesswoman and a mother, no longer isolated on her solo path. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's dual roles melded effortlessly into one. She enlisted the kids to help with the website design, played customer, and pitched their imaginary business concept to one another in mock scenarios. Every session yielded authentic laughter and learning. Her children's enthusiasm lit a spark within her that she hadn't realized had dimmed. Each tick of the clock felt charged with potential, propelling both her professional and personal journey forward. One afternoon, as they were refining their logo ideas, an emblem that vibrated with joy and energy, a message from Jack illuminated her phone screen. "Let's discuss your progress. I believe the community would benefit immensely from what you're building." Drawing in a steadying breath, she replied, "Can we meet this Saturday? I want to share our new direction." The entire week felt like an anticipatory countdown, a climax to their collaborative work. When Saturday arrived, Emily felt her heart race with a potent mix of nerves and excitement as she entered the bustling cafe. Jack's presence soon anchored her. He radiated confidence, exuding an energy that thrilled her as he greeted her with genuine warmth and curiosity. As they settled into their seats, Emily felt the meaningful connection they had cultivated evolve into a powerful partnership. "I've been busy merging ideas with my kids, and it's truly transformed my approach," she began, her voice steadied by the journey they had undertaken together. Jack leaned in, his attention unwavering. "I'm all ears." What followed was a careful yet passionate explanation of her vision, how blending family dynamics with business had not only fostered creativity but revitalized her sense of purpose. The excitement in her voice mirrored the flame ignited within her. As she concluded, Jack surprised her with resonating praise. "That's groundbreaking, Emily. Empowering your children within this venture is going to establish a family legacy." His affirmation sent an electrifying thrill through her, grounding her confidence. This was her moment. "And I'd like your guidance on a larger platform. I want to create a community model based on togetherness, one that encourages family involvement." Jack's eyes lit up with excitement at the prospect. "That's exactly the launching point this community needs. Let's discuss the steps to build this together." They fell into a rhythm of serious collaboration, the conversation quickly intertwining their ideas and strategies as they drafted a business plan that transcended Emily's simple aspirations. But perhaps the most profound realization was how her drive had genuinely transformed, not just as an entrepreneur, but as an empowered mother. The doubts and fears still simmered at times, yet now deeply grounded in her purpose, the fears felt different. They were stepping stones, not barriers. Weeks turned into months, and Emily forged ahead under a new brand. Her children flourished at her side, gaining confidence as they contributed creatively and played active roles in their family growth. Teachers noticed the changes too. Mia and Lucas were blooming, emboldened by their collaboration beyond the classroom walls. Riding the waves of success, Emily stood tall at a community launch event with Jack by her side. The concept she had persistently nurtured blossomed into vibrant reality, a commitment to families that emphasized shared experiences and entrepreneurial growth, not just financial gain. As the crowd erupted in applause, she felt tears prick at her eyes, tears not of exhaustion, but of an overwhelming acknowledgement of the road traveled and the wisdom born of it. In that triumphant moment, Emily realized what she had achieved wasn't merely about success or validation, it was the birth of a new identity. The trauma of isolation had dissolved into the energy of inclusion, and the lessons she had learned, encompassing both the chaos of motherhood and the thrill of ambition. Jack turned to her, pride swelling in his gaze. "You did this," he said, his voice a rich testament of belief. "I did," she whispered back, confrontation transformed into celebration. With the winds of change beneath her wings, Emily forged ahead into the horizon, her story now etched in the hearts of many but, most importantly, woven into her family. It was a legacy built on sacrifice, resilience, and an unmistakable love for those who had taught her the true essence of success. Life had no guarantees, but Emily felt ready, prepared to chase every opportunity, knowing that success was a journey, a legacy, and a choice she was fully committed to achieving. And so, the final chapter of Emily's story flourished, not just as a tale of personal achievement but an ongoing testament to love and growth, a true embodiment of transforming struggles into meaningful triumphs. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.